right, here we go again. I am just gonna share the collaborative task video that we made um, while we wait for people to trickle in. Yeah, so might be a second of black screen as we transition over to this screen. Here we go. And just play that. Here we go. We'll get started in a few minutes.
Oh, is the audio supposed to be off for it, Elliot?
Yeah, yeah. I'm just keeping the audio off, I guess, today. uh, so this is gonna be a fun Q&A, I can tell you that. All right. So let's get started. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here, and then yeah. So thank you for coming to the Q&A today. This is we got one more day of Q&As this week. So tomorrow we'll have Q&As 9:30 to 10:30, 1:30 to 2:30, and then 5:30 to 6:30, and that'll round out our week of Q&As. The only rules for this Q&A are teachers should post their questions for our student team, who is Gavin here today with us. Please post your questions in the chat, teachers. And yeah, we'll start by introducing ourselves. So my name is Elliot Haney. I'm a staff member on CS Academy. Been so for about a year and a half. I joined the project as a student at CMU 3 years ago when the project first began. I have worked mostly writing exercises and now work managing the team that writes exercises. So that's been a lot of fun. Gavin, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Gavin Dice, member on Elliot's content team here at CS Academy. I joined the summer before my sophomore year. The second half of the summer before my sophomore year. And yeah, I pretty much do a lot of content work. I do a little bit of like collecting data on our exercises as well, and outreach for stuff like this. So.
Awesome. So Gavin will be answering questions. I might chime in here and there, since we only have one student team today, or student member joining us today. I might chime in. But yeah, so we'll start with the first question, which is, why did you choose to go to CMU?
Yeah, so I guess in general, I was kind of looking at a lot of like interdisciplinary schools that would have like a STEM focus, but I could also pursue humanities on the side. And CMU is something that definitely appeals to that or caters to that. They've got a really strong interdisciplinary focus. Like definitely the CS school kind of sticks out above the others, I guess. CS and ECE are like the talk of the town. But there's like a lot of research across departments. There's a lot of really great professors, a lot of really great classes. I've enjoyed a lot, yeah. And also my sister went here, so that helped make the decision.
Yeah, definitely. So what are some things that you do at CMU other than just take classes and work on CS Academy?
Yeah, one club that I'm in is actually how I figured out about CS Academy Technology. It's basically a tutoring group where we use the CS Academy curriculum at high schools around Pittsburgh, teaching, well, middle school and high school students about coding. Yeah, so that's how I figured out about the project to begin with. Otherwise, I do mainly just stuff with my friends, play guitar, play video games. Yeah. I tried to join club tennis this year, but I did not get an email back. So I don't know. Not too much else going on.
So, how do you find and join clubs at CMU?
Yeah, so we have like an activities fair or something, I think it's called it towards the beginning of the year. We just like go to the gym and there's like booths laid out for pretty much all the big clubs. There's Shaz Club, which is pretty cool. That's literally just a cafeteria sort of deal on campus that sort of has a cult following. I think I signed up for that, so I'm on the email list for Shaz Club technically, but yeah, I don't do much of anything for that. um, yeah, it's like honestly pretty much the biggest way is towards the beginning of the year. There's like a big club fair. I think that's pretty common across a lot of colleges, but it is definitely a good way to meet people. So
Awesome. All right. So, next question, I suppose. Um, let's see here. W- So, what is an average day for you like? And let's go both during Corona and not during Corona. So, get both of those times in.
yeah, so I guess pre-COVID I would normally wake up definitely later than I do in high school or did in high school, which is nice. Probably wake up at around like 8:30 to 9:30 depending on the day. And you've got a pretty flexible schedule. So in college, especially now, but pre-COVID even compared to high school, it's way more flexible. So I'd go to my lectures, depending on the class, and maybe you should go to all your classes. I don't know if that's generic advice, but yeah, go to lectures between classes, just like do work with friends a lot of the time, grab food. And yeah, I'm kind of unusual, I guess, compared to CMU students in that I don't work until like 3 a.m. I like really need my sleep. But I think generically in college, you'll find a lot of students just, at least at CMU, working until like the beginning of the day, practically. And then with COVID, I get honestly, it's pretty similar. Just a little bit more trapped to my apartment instead of going to campus for classes. But
All right, we got a question here. Can you explain what pass means?
yeah, for a second I thought that was like referring to classes, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, in coding, pass is just like pretty much like a generic statement to act as a placeholder is how I've always viewed it, at least. I don't know if that's entirely accurate, but I mean, it's just like if you want to put an if statement and you don't know what to put there yet, but it's kind of like you're outlining, like outlining an essay, you'll put down the which paragraph's going to go where, you'll have the bullet points, right? So it's kind of like if you're outlining your code and you put a bullet point there, the problem is the computer doesn't know that right now you're just putting down a bullet point. And that there's supposed to be something there, but there's not. So if you have an if statement and then just emptiness afterwards, and it's going to throw off the compiler. So by having the pass, it basically just tells the computer to like, yeah, just just pass, just go on for now, and eventually you'll add something more substantive. But that's pretty much the point of it.
Yeah, and to talk about it a little bit more in terms of CS Academy, when we use pass, you might be talking about it in Unit 2 when we teach about functions. Um, we use pass so that we can give you the function definition, so you don't have to write the def function name, parentheses, and all that. Um, but if we just wrote that line and put nothing after it, Python would throw an error. So we put the pass there. It does nothing, except it tells Python, okay, don't throw an error because there's something inside this function, even if that thing doesn't actually compute anything. All right, so I think we'll be getting another person joining our Q&A here in just a second. But in the meantime, we'll ask another question here of, yeah, so why did you choose your major?
Yeah, so I'm studying statistics and machine learning. I forget if I actually mentioned that, but yeah, for most of the schools that I was applying to, I wanted stats just as kind of like out of all the STEM classes that I took, it just sort of felt like the most middle ground, I guess. Where, like I mentioned earlier, I definitely did like still have interest in just taking humanities courses, even if I didn't want my career to go down that way. But stats you can kind of apply to multiple different fields, so you can have that more tech focus with the machine learning, or you can work for pretty much for nonprofits, for political campaigns. So that was, I guess, my philosophy going into college. I've definitely strayed way more towards the tech side now, but yeah, that was why I applied uh, in statistics and kind of got it where I applied to as well.
All right. So V, do you think you could introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm V. I'm a third year student here at Carnegie Mellon. I'm studying cognitive science and minoring in computer science. And I'm currently a member of the UX design team and Spanish translation team here at CS Academy.
And Janet, are you able to? Yeah, you're in. So could you introduce yourself, please?
Well, hi, I'm Janet. I'm a junior studying design at CMU. I'm from Toronto, Canada, and I'm also on the UX design team along with V.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. There we go. I wasn't sure if I was unmuted. All right. So just talking. Let's go through this first question I asked Gavin of, could V and Janet, can you explain why you chose to go to CMU?
Sure. I guess since I arrived sooner than Janet, I can go first. I decided to go to CMU just because there were so many opportunities to do interdisciplinary things, and I wasn't exactly sure what I would study. And so I actually am in the Science and Humanities Scholars Program. Unfortunately, it's not continued anymore because the colleges have actually become even more interdisciplinary, but it basically means that I'm both in the Social Sciences and Humanities College and the Mellon College of Natural Sciences. So it makes it easy for me to sort of study across both. And I guess what drew me to Carnegie Mellon was the idea that you could kind of explore everywhere and you don't have to really give up anything and only focus on one thing. And so I think that's why I chose Carnegie Mellon.
Yeah, I guess I was going to talk about a similar reason. I think CMU is really strong interdisciplinary, and that makes it a really attractive option as someone who wanted to explore, within design, but also within STEM related fields. And since CMU has like really strong foundations in its art programs, in its drama department, in its CS department, and in its like engineering department, as well as its humanities, I felt because I was choosing CMU, I could have more time to just kind of explore and do a lot of other things outside of what I plan to major on.
And yeah, great. So next question is, how do you guys manage your academics, your work, and your social life in college? Let's start with Janet. Go V, and then I think Gavin already answered this. So
yeah, if I'm going to be super honest, it's pretty hard to manage a lot of aspects of life while in college, just because there's a lot of workload, especially going to a school that's rigorous at CMU. So I think part of that answer is I'm still trying to figure that out, how to manage my work time on school, my work time on CS Academy, because I do this part-time, as well as keeping up with friends.
For me, I would say I would echo Janet in that it's definitely something ongoing that I'm constantly trying to improve at. But I would say that it really depends largely on what like a student chooses to be involved in. And of course, I get a lot of work done on the weekends as well. But it's also sort of, I find tools that kind of help me manage all the things that I have to do. Like I keep like an online agenda with like a checklist of all the things I have to do. And so I guess I kind of set aside time to work on academics and things, and also other commitments like CS Academy. But then on the weekends, that's when more of the extracurricular things are happening. So I also find time for those. So it's a constant juggling of all of the things that are going on. And I feel like it's something that you have to constantly work at and improve.
We got another question here. So this one is for Janet, and V, Janet and V, I guess. What does UX design look like at CS Academy?
Cool.
And we'll get to a similar question about content creation in just a second.
I guess I can talk a bit about the UX design process at CS Academy. We do a lot of teacher-facing features. That's what we've been recently working on. And so the process of how one of those things gets designed and developed is that usually it starts with some sort of user research, whether that be through our Fresh Desk support ticket channel, where teachers kind of submit requests or ideas for new features, and we go through those and see that features that are common, and then we kind of riff off of that for ideas. We also do research through user testing, and so talking to teachers and seeing how they like or dislike parts of our website. And then from there, we kind of go through this iterative design process where the design team, we come up with ideas for what this possible solution or feature could look like. And through these iterations we make within the team and with our program manager, Aaron, as well as the dev team, we kind of come to some sort of final design, which we sometimes also test again with teachers. And then we pass it off to dev, and the development team kind of makes it real and puts it onto the website, which is cool.
I guess Janet greatly summed it up, like our process and how we do things. But I would also say that something to keep in mind is even after we make something final and we implement it on the site is constantly being changed to be improved. And whatever feedback we get from students and teachers, we make sure to implement and put that on our site. We recently got some support tickets about features that we can improve on the exercise screen. And so we're currently working on those, and you'll be seeing those soon. It's just as more and more people are using CS Academy, we're constantly adapting it to fit the needs of everyone that uses it. And so it's something that is always getting better and improving and changing.
Gavin, can you talk a little bit about content creation?
Yeah, content creation is, I guess, a pretty I mean, definitely there is outlining that you want to do to it, just like, I guess, writing an essay, if I'm going to use that analogy again. But it is still pretty loose, and I think every single content creator has a different way that they go about it. So I guess for my process, I kind of just try to think of something that I think would make for a fun exercise. I don't really think about any of the coding aspect first. I just think about what I think a student might enjoy looking at and solving, like as a problem, as a puzzle, and then just actually making it come to life, drawing all the elements and then making the code for it. And then keeping in mind, I guess, how to keep it still entertaining for the student, so that they don't have to do any like too repetitious coding or I guess anything. I definitely do tend to make a little bit too mathy of exercises sometimes. So I guess that's kind of my bad. But I at least avoid the repetitive coding. So if you guys have any of that in any of your exercises, that's not me. That is not me.
Yeah, and a little bit more on the process of like content creating after like a draft is made. We normally do revisions. Sometimes that includes critiques where we all meet and every creator shows their work, and then all the creators and I and our content leads provide feedback, and those are quite entertaining sometimes. And yeah, after that, then I go in and I do some revisions and make sure everything's working properly, no bugs in the code or anything. And then it goes to the site, and then you guys solve them. All right. So next question is, what is your favorite class you've taken? Let's start with V this time.
I think I'm having some technical difficulties. Hold on.
All right, we'll start with Janet. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I can go. My favorite class that I've taken at CMU is 15110, which is an intro to Python class, which is designed for non-majors, so non-CS majors. I took it my freshman spring, and long story short, it's the reason why I'm working on this project, and that's kind of why I love that course so much. I did a computer science class in high school, and I really thought computer science was not for me. I really didn't enjoy it. It was a lot of what I thought was like boring, unapplicable problem solving, where I was like moving things in lists that I didn't understand. But then taking 110, which is actually quite similar to the CS Academy curriculum, because that year, one of the both the co-founders were teaching it, and they taught it through a graphics-based curriculum as well, and seeing the kind of really tangible application of CS and being able to like draw pictures, which I think because I'm a visual learner, helped me a lot, and it helped me really connect with CS. And so, yeah, it got me into coding, got me into CS Academy, and it's been fun.
My connection is not the greatest, but I think I fixed it. So interestingly enough, I would say that my favorite class would be 15112, which is very, very similar to 15110, which is the one Janet was talking about. In that I actually didn't know much about computer science, and I had only taken like very, very basic engineering classes until then. And I kind of got the sense when, like, before I even came in, that it was just a lot of math, like a lot of like logic and a lot of like syntax and a lot of just things to worry about. But I feel like the course really, it sort of taught me to think about it in, this is the tools that I can use to create something, rather than here are all the things that you must know. And it's not all like super cut and dry as I thought it was. And 15112 was also the class that got me working on CS Academy. So I would say that's also a good part of it too.
Yeah, I also enjoyed 112 a lot. But I think definitely the gen eds at CMU kind of stick out to me as just like bringing some variety from the core curriculum, I guess, that I'm used to taking from the rest of my STEM classes. So one that stuck out to me was invented languages. That was really fun. You just invented a language. It is pretty much just what it sounds like. So you got to get your J.R.R. Tolkien on. I think mine was called Lorelei. It was like a lot of L's and R's in the language. There were like no plosives, in case any student somehow knows what that is. But yeah, it was like no harsh like g or buzz. I don't know how to describe this. I don't think I'm doing a great job, but it was a fun course.
Actually, to add on to that, the only reason I know what you're talking about is I'm taking a class currently called Nature of Language, and that's really interesting because it sort of breaks down all language into like both the sounds and also what they mean. And what's cool is we're not studying one language, we're studying like nature of all language. So it's really making me look at language in a different way. And because I'm trilingual, English, Spanish, and Chinese, it's really interesting to kind of see how all the stuff I'm learning applies. So I would say for the current course that I'm taking, that would be my favorite course.
Yeah, language is awesome. It's got a lot of really interesting features to it. All right, this next question for Janet and V. Could you talk a little bit about what it's like to be a female in STEM at CMU? I guess we'll start with Janet.
I can talk a little bit about STEM, although I don't think I'm technically in STEM as a design major, but I've taken a lot of like STEM-based courses at CMU, and One thing that I've found that has been really great at CMU is seeing the gender ratio balance here. I think coming from a high school where that was a bit more skewed, as in it was very male dominant, it's good to see representation, especially from my instructors as well as my TAs, being female or gender non-binary. And that representation here has been really great because it lets me have, I guess, leadership, see leaders in roles that I would like to pursue. And that's really inspiring for me.
I would say that because of just how the culture is here at CMU, it's not really something that sort of sticks out to me. In my high school was not very big, and we definitely had a really disproportionate amount of like a gender imbalance in our STEM classes. Typically, you might be 1 out of 2 female students in the higher level science or engineering classes. And here at CMU, it's really different in that it's just everyone is just studying what they're interested in. And so you don't really notice that because there is such kind of a good distribution of role models who are female or non-binary or of another gender. And so I would say that, yeah, I would just echo what Janet has said on that point. It's really encouraging to see so many people who kind of share my identity who are also studying STEM and CS. And so, yeah, I would agree with what Janet has said.
Awesome. We got another great question. It's a little bit open-ended, but we'll see what you guys come up with here. Gavin, can you start us off? The question is, what are some tips you have for high school students who are learning to code with CS Academy graphics?
Yeah, I'd say, I guess definitely this is kind of a vague, nondescript answer, but don't be like discouraged if things start tough at first and don't give up. I guess that's not really specific advice, but I know the first coding course I took was AP Computer Science, taught in Java. I think like my junior year I took it. The teacher was really dope. He was a funny guy, Randy Brown, but the actual curriculum was not enjoyable at all to me. And I thought I would never, ever in 1,000 years pursue a CS career, like not at all. So I was pursuing stats like alone, basically, like just stats. But then I came to CMU, and you kind of can't escape the CS here, and I'm happy for it because it's definitely grown on me a lot. So even if CS Academy isn't your, I guess, CS Awakening or whatever, don't give up on it. But also, I think if anything is going to be, it definitely would probably be ours because ours curriculum is way less dry than APCS. Like I really wish in high school that this is what I learned CS from. I guess another more specific tip is just use it to make whatever's interesting to you. So I think, yeah, like one of the best parts about our curriculum is the fact that you can exercise your creativity in it, but it's also still literally just a Python shell. So, I mean, if you're not interested in the art aspect, then just go nuts and do some crazy coding challenges. And if you are more interested in the art, then yeah, use it as a place to do really weird, like visual, moving, non-static art pieces. So that's probably, yeah, my advice.
V, do you have any advice?
I feel like Gavin has said it pretty well, in that use it to make what you're interested in. One of the things that I actually like stick out to me from taking the intro computer course 112 that I talked about was that students would have a project where it was sort of the big culminating project. You could literally make it about anything you wanted. And I feel like similarly, CS Academy kind of gives you the tools and the skills to do that. So whatever you're interested in, you can use those skills to go and do it and actually make something cool. I guess definitely also to echo Gavin, like it's easy for everything to be a little bit overwhelming at first because this is literally a new language and there are so many things that you keep learning that just add on to all the things that you have to keep track of. But if you keep focused on what you can do with it and kind of the final product of what you'll be able to achieve, then I would say that definitely helps with sort of how it is in the beginning.
I guess I would say that I agree with everything Gavin and V have said about, I guess, expressing yourself creatively through CS Academy and using the platform as a resource and as a tool to create whatever you want. If I were to give like really concrete advice for using the website, I would say related to what Gavin and V have talked about, I think the sandbox is a great place to just code whatever and like experiment with whatever. And it's a super not high stakes place to just see what you can create, play around with the new concepts you've learned, and see what kind of things you can create using the new concepts you're learning in class. I would also say using docs and colors is really helpful, at least for me, when I forget some of the syntax and documentation of our coding framework. That's the place I always jump to kind of get a refresher on how to spell things and how syntax works.
Yeah, and to expand a little bit more on what Gavin said about like him not being comfortable programming with APCS, I think that's actually something that's fairly common on this project. We've had a lot of Q&As, and I've heard that from several other members. That's true for myself. I tried to learn coding 2 or 3 times in high school. Never really stuck. I came to CMU and I have a minor in computer science now. So like, even if it's not sticking now, don't write it off forever, because you might find out like 2 or 3 years down the line that, yeah, just explained differently, it just makes sense all of a sudden. So don't get discouraged if it's not really sticking. All right, this is a great question. Thank you. Let's transition a little bit to advice for prepping for college. Janet, can you start us off with saying what the most helpful activity that prepared you for college was?
Sure. I guess the one activity, which was kind of 2 activities, with attending summer camps. So my sophomore and junior year before college, I attended 2 different summer programs. One was in engineering and one was in design. And I think those 2 experiences really helped me prepare for not only the experience of college, so like learning how to live on my own and kind of remembering to do like human things such as like eat food and get laundry done. But they also helped me explore some of what I wanted to maybe study in college. And so through those 2 experiences, I kind of realized that I was interested in design, but engineering and STEM was still really important to me. And I wanted to somehow still study those a bit while focusing on this passion I had for design. And so that really helped me transition from high school to college.
V, can you follow up on that at all?
Sure. When this question was asked, I actually would answer from kind of a different approach. I wouldn't say that there was sort of any activity that I did that helped me prepare for college, but I would say I definitely changed my mindset a little, because college is sort of, you're going off to somewhere where it's going to be your home for the next 4 years, maybe more. And there are so many things to do and so many communities to be a part of, but also sort of different people to meet everywhere. And so I kind of changed my mindset in that I knew what I enjoyed doing, but I also wanted to sort of see what there was to discover. So I told myself that if there were something new and I thought like I didn't really know much about it, I would try it if I had the chance. So like taking classes in different areas, or maybe joining clubs that I otherwise would not have been a part of. Like CS Academy and being a part of this was definitely one of those things. So I would say kind of opening up my mind to trying and exploring new things was definitely something that prepared me better for college.
Yeah, I don't know if I had like a specific instance or activity either that prepared me, I guess, the most to refer to. But I would say just like, yeah, like opening your mindset and branching out, trying new things, and being willing to fail. Cause like, I guess once you just go to college, school does get tougher and you're just more on your own than you are in high school. Things are like less structured. So just definitely being willing to take risks earlier on is something that I wish I had done. And yeah, just like I guess developing that sense of independence that you're going to get thrown into anyways in college a little bit earlier is always a good thing.
And now focusing more on the application part, do you have any advice for students trying to apply to college? Let's start with Gavin. Yeah, great.
Yeah, I would say don't apply to like a just a ton of schools. I don't know, like I guess just the way that my family did it. Like my sister applied to like 20 schools, and my mom just pressured us to apply to as many schools as possible. But I definitely applied to a lot of colleges that I actually just did not want to go to as a result. And I think it also ends up watering down the essays that you write for other schools. Like instead of dedicating all that time to writing a really good essay for a school that you really want to go to, you're writing like an okay essay for a school you really want to go to, and then a less than okay essay for a school you don't care about. So it's better to definitely cast a wide net. I'm not saying apply to only like 3 schools and put all your eggs into one basket, because that's unfortunately just not how the process works. It kind of is a little bit arbitrary. Even if you deserve to go to a school, there's so many people applying and there's so many factors. You should apply to like, I don't know what the rule of thumb is, but it's probably like 3 safety schools, 3 middle schools, and 3 like reach schools, something like that. But definitely make sure that everywhere you're applying to, you actually want to go there. And yeah, otherwise, also don't stress out too much about like test scores and like SATs and stuff. I think that's something I said in another Q&A. Like just I don't like definitely study for tests and everything. Obviously study for the SAT, but at the end of the day, like when you're in your 30s, you're hopefully not going to have any portion of your brain dedicated to remembering what your score on the SAT science was. So that should not be your high school experience, is just worrying about tests all the time. Do other stuff.
V, do you have any advice?
Sure. I actually have a lot of friends who are currently seniors in high school who are going through the process right now. So I'm kind of getting flashbacks to when I was applying for college. I would say, in a different vein, take care of yourself, because it's a very, very long process, and you're going to be thinking about all of this for many, many months, whether it be writing essays or getting test scores or just putting things together for your interview and your application. And it's very easy to sort of feel overwhelmed or psych yourself out about it. But everyone who is applying to college kind of unfortunately has to go through that stress. So talk to the people around you, talk to your friends. Don't kind of carry that burden all by yourself, and just make sure to take care of yourself through that process. Take breaks when you're working on essays. Don't sit down and be like, okay, I'm gonna have a perfect essay after this session, because that's not going to be true. When you start writing something, just the most important thing is to get something down, because once you have that, you can edit it. You can always add things and take things away, but it's much harder to sort of just churn something out and expect it to be perfect, because that's not what it's going to be like. So I would say prioritize taking care of yourself during it, and also have realistic expectations. Expect to be working on things and taking a break in between them, so you don't kind of wear yourself out.
I guess I can add my 2 cents of advice for the application process. I think my big piece of advice would be, if you're writing essays, write essays about stuff you actually care about. And that, one, it makes the essay writing process so much more enjoyable, because instead of writing stuff that you feel like someone else wants to hear, or things that you think you should be presenting about yourself, you'll be writing like fun essays about like topics you like. I wrote this really interesting essay about 3D printing because I was super into that. And that essay was so much more fun to write compared to my Common App. So I guess that's my one piece of advice. I guess my second piece of advice would be, if any of you are applying to schools that require portfolios, start early. That takes a long time. And it's that kind of thing that sneaks up on you, because not everyone has to do it. But if you're looking to do an art or design or theater or performance major, look into doing your portfolio early or getting started early.
Great. That's some good advice all around there. All right, so let's see here. Why is learning computer science important, even if you don't want to do coding as a profession or as any part of your career? Janet, can you start us off?
Sure. I'd like to think, actually, I guess everything is connected to coding now, so I guess design isn't that far from coding. But being in a non-STEM major, you would think that design and coding really don't meet, but there's a lot of intersections between the two. And in many ways, like computer science, not only the thinking, the algorithmic thinking and problem solving components you learn from that, but also just the skill of being able to program is super important in any field, because it's a tool that allows you to like create things and express your ideas. I think in my field in design, there's a lot of uses for programming for prototyping. So a big thing that we do in design is like we have these ideas, and then to show them or test them to other people, we need to make something. And so whether that be through quick mock-ups of UI, and so programming that, or through Arduinos and making quick physical prototypes, programming has really large direct impacts into my design work as well.
V, do you have anything to add to what Janet said?
I guess one thing I would say is pretty obvious, so I didn't kind of jump at the chance to add it, but I would say the problem solving that you learn, and also sort of the rhythm of being wrong about something, like failing and then starting again and then finally getting something working. I feel like that's really valuable. I'm actually interested more in sort of machine learning aspects, so not kind of creating things from scratch necessarily. But I feel like just learning about computer science and coding in general gives that sort of, you get used to that rhythm of whenever you have a problem, finding different ways to approach it and keeping on going even when things don't work, like when there's a bug or when you have to think about something else that you didn't consider early on. And compared to other disciplines, I would feel like it's super connected with, computer science is super connected with whatever you're directly creating, and also the kind of failure and success pattern there. Yeah, I feel like that would be what I would take out of computer science, like why it's valuable to learn. I'm not really sure if that was super insightful, but I do feel like that is a big like positive aspect of learning it, no matter what you go into.
Yeah, I think also it just works well with a lot of other fields. So there's just a fair chance that whatever you end up liking more than CS, if you do like something more than CS, then computer science can just complement it. So whether it's something scientific like physics or chemistry, there's definitely CS applications to that. Just like literal physical applications of CS to those fields. And then also just like what V was touching on, where just, I guess the mindset that it gives you, the way that it helps you tackle problems is going to be helpful. But then also just for more creative fields as well. Yeah, I think just having that logical aspects of thought is kind of like something that a lot of people don't think is important to the creative process, but it really can be. So if you're in a more music and art, then it's important there. And also, again, just like the literal application of CS to art and to music also exists. So yeah, it's just important because it can help your, I guess, your brain work in ways that you might not expect. And it can also literally apply to the field that maybe draws you in more.
All right, we're gonna switch to talk about CS Academy a little bit. So starting with Gavin, can you talk about your favorite part working on the CS Academy project?
Yeah, I think definitely working on content is a lot of fun. It's something that gives you a chance to, or gives me a chance to exercise my creative muscles that I probably wouldn't otherwise, because most of my classes are definitely more STEM based. So it's a lot of fun just drawing koalas on the side alongside the rest of my schoolwork. And then also stuff like this, the outreach. We've ran professional developments for teachers. It's been a lot of fun. A lot of Zoom shenanigans going on with everything being online. I think I've touched on that in a couple of Q&As. This is my third one, so I'm starting to just feel like I'm living in a loop. But yeah, there's a lot of people forgetting to turn off their cameras / mics at bad times. That, yeah, maybe I shouldn't say more.
V, what's your favorite part of the CS Academy?
I'm not very good at picking favorite parts. I feel like there's so much that I could mention. There's like the working with teams and kind of having a new thing to focus on every week, and it's always changing. There's the fact that it's currently being used by so many people and that we can kind of constantly see their progress through things like creative task contests and things like that. There's just so many things. I don't think I could pick a favorite, but maybe among one of those. Hopefully that answers your question.
I guess my favorite part of working on the project is being able to, as a student still, being able to make a really big impact and have kind of apply what I've been learning in college to some sort of like real world situation. And that has been really, really fun. And even just having the experience to go into classrooms and see people use the program, as well as being able to talk to teachers about how they're using the program. And just making something real, I think, has been a really great experience and super nice working on the project.
All right, so I think you might have just answered that, this next question, Janet, but why did you get involved in CS Academy to begin with? Is there anything else that you could talk about there?
I guess I can pick that up and we can go around the other way. Yeah, I think a big reason why I wanted to join the project was one, because I wanted to apply what I was learning in school. I think sometimes when you don't do that, or at least when I don't do that, I kind of lose sight in why what I'm learning is important. So having some sort of outlet to learn about design and then apply it to something that is real and I can see people use is great for my like personal learning. I think CS Academy is also a really important project to me because of its values and how it's supporting education in CS by making it more accessible. And so seeing those values in a place where I had the opportunity to work, I just couldn't turn that down.
V, why did you join CS Academy originally?
So I actually joined CS Academy originally because I was a student in 112, and towards the end of the semester, as we were sort of winding down, we got this notice that CS Academy was looking to translate everything into Spanish. And so as someone who had studied Spanish for, I think, all of middle and high school, I kind of jumped at the chance to actually apply something that I had learned, like in practice, in a way that it could actually impact other people. And then after about a semester, I also joined the UX design team. And just to echo Janet, it's been really amazing to know that the stuff that I've been working on and creating is being used and being seen by people all over the world. And so I would say that it's just the ability to sort of apply what I've been learning and know that it's helping a lot of people and making education for CS a lot more accessible. That would be why I joined in the first place.
Yeah, I think I initially heard of it not through 112, but actually the club I was in. I think I mentioned earlier, Technology. I joined kind of because I was trying to get a 112 TA position and I did not. And then I joined this club thinking that it was paid and it was not. So I kind of just got scammed, but I ultimately got onto this project, and it's pretty amazing. Also, the tutoring actually did end up being more rewarding than I thought. I'm still on the club, so. But yeah, I think CS Academy is equally, if not more rewarding, even though I get it's not volunteer work. I do get paid, but I think its scope is just so much greater, and it is like pretty awesome. Like I think was already touched on, just I don't know, being part of something that impacts so many people's education in a positive way. Yeah.
All right, we'll have two more questions here, and then we'll end for the day. So this next question is, what is the most useful skill you have that has helped you when working on CS Academy? Gavin can go first this time.
Oh, this is a question I haven't had yet, actually. So I've got to think here. Most useful skill, singular skill. I guess. Well, if I was better at art, that would definitely help for the content process. But since I'm not good at art and I have no background in it, but somehow got a content position anyways, I guess I'll lean more towards the existing like math and logic side. I think it's been helpful making some projects that maybe got shot down by Elliot because they were a little bit too mathy. But I think having that background does let you do a lot of cool stuff with our curriculum and just I guess in general. I don't know. Yeah, it helps you like lay out a more methodical thought process to how you go about tackling a problem, like creating an exercise. I tend to procrastinate pretty hard though, so I guess I set out the process and then just sit on it and wait longer than I should. But in theory, it's a helpful skill for sure.
B, do you have an idea of what your most useful skill is for working on the project?
I'll have to think about that a little. I guess the first thing, this also might be sort of a counterpoint to what you said. Sorry, Gavin. But I actually I've been doing art since I was little, and I feel like that sort of made me a bit of, I guess, I like to try a lot of new things. And so I'm not by any means like an expert in any of it, but I might try kind of different modes of like, I might do some painting, I might do sketching, I might, all sorts of things. And I feel like that's really helped, first of all, in the UX design position, in that I had not done any sort of hands-on like application of user experience design that I'd been learning in classes. And I feel like that kind of combined with the ability to sort of see things visually, and also like having done art for a long time, I think that's definitely been helpful. But also just in terms of, I guess, mindset, like I have, in the process of trying many, many things, I have failed many, many times, but I've also learned a lot from those. And I would have to say that being a part of this project in kind of two different areas that I hadn't really gotten to apply my skills in before, I definitely have had places where like I've learned how to improve, but also learned a lot from. So I guess it's a bit of like a mindset experience sort of thing. It's not really a skill.
I guess the most concrete skill that I've developed that has been useful on the project, I think is like the ability to provide good critique or meaningful critique. So not only as part of the design team and the design process, critiquing people's work and kind of people's designs, but also surprisingly, I don't think I mentioned this before, but I'm also part of the content team, and being able to provide good feedback for content that's created, and being able to frame, your response to work as something that's helpful and will hopefully help the creator grow, rather than shutting them down or telling them that like the work is bad.
Yeah, that's a super important skill there. All right, and the last question for the day is a fun one. Can you all tell me, starting with Janet, what your favorite CS Academy exercise is?
Okay, so the background in this is I do a lot of the illustrations for the website as well. And if you see the illustrations, you can kind of see my bias towards exercises. So I'm a really big Puffy Penguin fan. As you can see in the characters illustration we have on like the splash page and a few other places, like he's right in the center there. So yeah, big Puffy Penguin fan.
V, what's your favorite exercise?
This is kind of a hard one because on the UX design team we don't kind of go through the exercises, and on the Spanish translation team, on the other hand, we go through many exercises during a week when we're translating them. I would say Puffy Penguin is definitely a special one. First of all, I'm on a design team with Janet, and I see her do all of these illustrations and graphics, and so it has a special place in my heart. I would say another one that I clearly remember from professional development, like enjoying learning it, but also enjoying teaching it, would have to be the Up House from Unit 5. I feel like I enjoy that one too.
Puffy Penguin, everyone. Ooh, that's kind of overrated. That's kind of mainstream exercise. I'm going to the cult classic Koala Crisis from APCSP. No bias at all. I did not write that exercise. It's just like a really good exercise. Yeah, you know. I'm kind of waiting for some more illustrations, Janet, of the balding koala. He's everybody's favorite. Everybody knows koala. Bald koala from Koala Crisis APCSP. I'm gonna say it like as many times as possible to just plug this. He's also got like a wizard hat, and his ears. He has 2 more wizard hats, so he's got the triple hat situation. He's got a sombrero. It's a Koala Crisis, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for that fantastic advertisement for the Koala Crisis exercise, Gavin. Superb. All right, so that'll wrap it up for us today. I'm going to share our schedule for the week. We got one more day of Q&As, if I can pull it up here. Sorry for the black screen. There we go. As you can see, tomorrow we have Q&As 9:30 to 10:30, 1:30 to 2:30, and 5:30 to 6:30. Thank you for watching, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their day.